Hi, I'm Nyla. After 2 years away pursuing my architecture degree, I never imagined my homecoming would begin with my father's cutting words before I could even take off my jacket. Didn't know they let failures back home, Dad said, barely looking up from his newspaper at the kitchen table. I froze in the doorway, overnight bag still in hand. Nice to see you too, Dad. Mom rushed in from the living room, her face a mask of forced cheerfulness. Nyla, you're early. I thought your bus wasn't arriving until 7. She embraced me tightly, whispering, Don't mind him. Bad day at work. Every day's a bad day when you've got a daughter who couldn't hack it at Westbrook, Dad muttered, turning a page with unnecessary force. My younger brother Tyler appeared in the hallway, eyes wide. Nyla, you're back! He rushed forward for a hug, then stepped back, reading the room. I'll help with your bags. One bag is all failures get to bring home, Dad said. Isn't that right, Nyla? I set my jaw. I didn't fail out, Dad. The firm I was interning with offered me a full-time position starting next semester. It's a great opportunity. A great opportunity to avoid finishing your degree. He finally looked up, eyes cold. Your grandfather built that architecture firm from nothing, so you could have opportunities. Now look at you. Mom placed a hand on his shoulder. Frank, please. She just got home. Don't Frank please me, Linda. Our daughter drops out of college after we spent a fortune on tuition, and I'm supposed to welcome her with open arms? I didn't drop out. I slammed my bag down. I'm taking a gap year to work with Reyes and Associates. It's a prestigious firm, and they specifically requested me. Requested you to make coffee and answer phones, I'm sure. He scoffed. Tyler grabbed my arm. Come on, Nyla. I'll help you get settled in your old room. Running away from the conversation. Typical, Dad called after us. Upstairs, Tyler closed my bedroom door. Sorry about that. He's been worse since Grandpa died. Worse? Hard to imagine. The business is struggling. Grandpa left everything to Dad, but there's some problem with the will. He's been on edge for months. I sat on my bed. What kind of problem? Not sure exactly, but I overheard him talking to Mr. Reynolds. You know, his lawyer friend? Dad keeps saying someone's trying to steal what's rightfully his. My phone buzzed with a text from my best friend Zoe. You home yet? Surviving the dragon's den? Barely through the door and already getting burned, I texted back. Coffee tomorrow? Tyler fidgeted with my desk lamp. There's something else. Dad's been having these closed-door meetings with Uncle Pete. They get real quiet when anyone comes around. Uncle Pete? Dad's sketchy brother who was supposedly consulting for Grandpa's firm? Yeah. And get this, Aunt Melissa came by last week totally upset. She was yelling at Dad about betraying family and illegal dealings. My phone rang. It was Zoe. Hey, you, I answered. Perfect timing. That bad already? Zoe asked. You have no idea. Dad called me a failure before I could even take off my jacket. Classic Frank Harrison charm. Listen, there's something you should know. My dad, he's on the city planning commission, remember? He mentioned some shady business with your family's firm. Permits being pushed through without proper approvals, inspections being skipped. Tyler's eyes widened as he overheard. What kind of permits? I asked. For that new Riverside development? The one your grandfather opposed before he died? Suddenly it's full steam ahead with your dad signing off on everything. The door burst open. Dad stood there, face red. Dinner's ready, and I expect everyone at the table without phones. As he stomped away, Tyler whispered, Nyla, I found something in Dad's office. A revised will from Grandpa. It's dated just a week before he died. What did it say? I didn't get to read it all, but I saw your name. Multiple times. The next morning, I met Zoe at our favorite coffee shop downtown. You look like hell, she said, sliding a latte toward me. Couldn't sleep. Dad kept making pointed comments about family loyalty at dinner. Classic manipulation tactic. Zoe leaned forward. So what are you going to do about the will? I stirred my coffee. What can I do? I don't even know what it says. Find out. My mom's a paralegal at Goodman and Pierce, remember? She says wills are public record once they've been through probate. But Tyler said there's a revised version Dad's hiding. Zoe tapped her manicured nails on the table. Then we need to see both. Compare them. And how exactly do we do that? The official one? Easy. We visit the county clerk's office. The hidden one? That's where Tyler comes in. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Miss Harrison, this is Patricia Goodman. I was your grandfather's attorney. We need to talk. Urgently. I showed Zoe the text. Coincidence? No such thing. Call her. Now. 20 minutes later, we sat in Patricia Goodman's sleek downtown office. Your grandfather was concerned about your father's business practices, Patricia said, sliding a folder across her desk. 2 weeks before his death, he changed his will. And left what to whom? I asked. The majority of his assets and controlling interest in Harrison Architectural to you, Nyla. I nearly choked. Me? Why me? He said you had the only honest bones left in the family. He was planning to mentor you through taking over the firm. But Dad said Grandpa left everything to him. The will your father submitted to probate was an older version. I have reason to believe he's suppressing the legitimate final will. Zoe squeezed my hand. That's fraud. Patricia nodded. And potentially criminal. Your father is proceeding with the Riverside development against explicit instructions in your grandfather's final business directive. The development that's skipping inspections? I asked. Precisely. Your grandfather discovered serious environmental issues with that land. Contamination that could affect the water table. He refused to be involved. But Dad is pushing it through anyway, I said, pieces falling into place. With help from your uncle and several bribed officials, Patricia confirmed. Later that afternoon, I confronted my mother in our kitchen. Did you know about the will, Mom? The real one? She froze, dish towel in hand. Nyla, you need to let this go. Let go of Dad committing fraud? Suppressing Grandpa's real will? Your father's under tremendous pressure. The firm would collapse without that development deal. So that justifies ignoring contaminated land? Building homes where families could get sick? You don't understand business, Nyla. I understand right and wrong. Uncle Pete walked in, stopping short when he saw my face. Whoa, family discussion? I turned to him. Did you know about the contamination at the Riverside site? His face hardened. Who's been filling your head with this nonsense? Grandpa's real attorney, the one who has the actual will. Uncle Pete and Mom exchanged alarmed glances. Listen, kid, Uncle Pete said. Your grandfather was losing it at the end. Got confused, made some hasty decisions. He was sharp as ever, I retorted, and he saw right through both of you. Careful, Nyla, he warned. You're stepping into things you don't understand. I understand enough to go to the district attorney. Environmental crimes, fraud, suppressing a legal will. That's just for starters. You'd destroy your own father? Mom asked, voice breaking. He's destroying himself, and risking other people's lives in the process. Your father protected you your entire life, Uncle Pete growled. Protected me? He's been tearing me down since I was 12. Tyler appeared in the doorway, phone in hand. Nyla, I found the hidden will. I took pictures. He glanced nervously at Uncle Pete. I also found emails about the contamination reports they buried. Uncle Pete lunged for Tyler's phone, but I blocked his path. Touch him, and I call the police right now. That evening, I waited in Grandpa's old study, now Dad's office, the hidden will and contamination reports spread across the mahogany desk. When he entered, his face registered first surprise, then fury. What the hell are you doing in here? He slammed the door. Finding out the truth. About Grandpa's will. About Riverside. About you. You've always been dramatic, he scoffed, but his eyes darted to the documents. Grandpa left the firm to me, not you, and he explicitly refused the Riverside development because of contamination risks. Your grandfather was a sentimental old fool. The firm would collapse without that development. So you forged documents? Bribed officials? Suppressed Grandpa's real will? Dad paced, loosening his tie. You think business is black and white? Grow up, Nyla. Sometimes corners get cut. That's success. That's fraud. And endangering people's lives. Don't be so melodramatic. The contamination is minimal. The reports you buried show dangerous levels of industrial chemicals. Children could grow up in those homes, Dad. He slammed his hand on the desk. And what do you propose I do? Cancel the most lucrative contract we've had in a decade? Watch the firm your grandfather built collapse? It's not your firm. It's mine, legally. And yes, I'd rather see it fail than kill people. Dad laughed bitterly. Always the idealist, just like your mother. Talented but weak. Is that why you've always treated me like I'm nothing? Because I remind you of Mom's weakness? I treated you like that because you needed toughening up. The world eats idealists alive. No, you treated me like that because you're a bully. You couldn't stand that Grandpa saw something in me that he never saw in you. Dad's face reddened. You ungrateful little... Ungrateful? For what? The constant criticism? The emotional abuse? I pushed you to be better. You pushed me to be you. Thank God I failed at that. The door opened. Mom stood there with Tyler. Frank, the Albrights are in the driveway, Mom said quietly. The investors? Dad's eyes widened. Stall them. Too late, I said. I invited them, along with the EPA inspector who should have signed off on those environmental reports. And Patricia Goodman, Grandpa's real lawyer. Dad lunged toward me, grabbing my arm painfully. You little traitor! After everything I've done for this family. Let her go, Dad! Tyler shouted, pulling out his phone. I'm recording everything. Frank, Mom gasped. You're hurting her. She's destroying everything, Dad shouted, tightening his grip. Years of work. Let go of me. I yanked my arm away, but Dad shoved me hard. I stumbled backward, crashing into the bookshelf. The study door burst open wider. Patricia Goodman stood there with 2 police officers and a stunned group of men in business suits. Frank Harrison, one officer said. You need to step away from your daughter now. This is a family matter, Dad sputtered. Assault is a criminal matter, Patricia replied coldly. As is the fraud we've uncovered. Dad pointed at me, face contorted with rage. She's trying to steal my company. Your father's company, Patricia corrected, which he legally left to Nyla. Dad lunged toward me again, but the officers intercepted him. Frank Harrison, you're under arrest for assault, fraud, and evidence tampering, the officer stated, cuffing my father's hands behind his back. 3 months later, I sat across from Dad in the visitor's room at the county detention center. His orange jumpsuit contrasted sharply with the man who once wore custom suits to family dinners. You didn't have to press charges, he said, avoiding my eyes. For the assault? Or the fraud? Or the environmental cover-up that could have sickened hundreds of families? I was protecting our legacy. You were protecting your ego, Dad. There is a difference. He leaned forward. I've had time to think in here. I was harsh with you. I see that now. Harsh? I raised an eyebrow. You called me a failure every chance you got. For years. I wanted to make you stronger. No. You wanted to break me. There's a difference there, too. Dad's eyes narrowed. So what? This is your revenge? Seeing your father in prison orange? This isn't revenge, Dad. It's accountability. Something you never taught me. I taught you plenty, he snapped. Everything I did was for this family. Was it? Or was it for your reputation? Your pride? Because families don't tear each other down. They build each other up. You think you're so much better than me, he said, voice rising. But you'll see. The real world isn't kind to people like you. People like me? Idealists, dreamers, the ones who think they can change things. I leaned forward. I already have changed things. That's what terrifies you. He sighed. I'm your father, Nyla. Despite everything, family forgives. Sometimes family holds each other accountable instead. That's what Grandpa did. So what happens now? You run the firm into the ground with your idealism? Actually, we're thriving. We've redirected to sustainable development projects. Grandpa's old clients are coming back. Dad's jaw tightened. And the Riverside project? Canceled. The land is being remediated properly. We're converting it to a public park instead. A park doesn't pay bills, he scoffed. The EPA contract for remediation does. plus the 3 sustainable housing developments we've taken on since your arrest. A guard approached. Time's up. Dad stood abruptly. Nyla, I'm still your father. When you get out, you'll have no role at Harrison Architectural. The board voted unanimously yesterday. You can't do this to me. I built that company. Grandpa built it. You almost destroyed it. That evening, I met Mom, Tyler, Zoe, and Patricia at our newly renamed firm, Harrison and Harrison Architectural. To Grandpa, Tyler said, raising his soda, and to Nyla for saving his legacy. Mom squeezed my hand. Your father may never understand what you did, but I do. I'm sorry I didn't stand up to him sooner. We all heal in our own time, Mom. Zoe grinned. So, Miss CEO, what's next? I gestured to the blueprints spread across the conference table. A community center where that abandoned factory used to be, affordable housing on the east side, and scholarships for architectural students. Grandpa would be proud, Patricia said. Dad called me a failure the day I came home, I said, tracing the blueprint lines. But sometimes what looks like failure is just a different path to success. Tyler pulled up an email on his tablet. Speaking of success, the environmental law firm representing the Riverside neighbors wants to meet with you. They're filing a class action against Dad and his co-conspirators. Schedule it for Monday, I replied. Every action has consequences. Do you ever think about visiting Dad again? Mom asked quietly. When I'm ready, not to forgive, but to show him who I've become despite him, not because of him. Zoe raised her glass again. 2 consequences. And to proving that success doesn't require cutting corners or cutting down others. I smiled, thinking of that day I'd arrived home, unable to even take off my jacket before being belittled. How far we'd come since then. Have you ever had someone try to crush your spirit, only to find yourself stronger than they ever imagined? Share your story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of triumph over adversity.